So, since all the big mainstream games aren't coming out until later in the month, and right now the Steam new releases page is about as lively and interesting as a fucking morgue, I've decided to do something I've never really done before and do a retro review, specifically a review on one of my favourite games of all time and the game I've probably played more than any other game, Bully, or Canis Cana Meet It, or the Jimmy Hopkins jumping around game. Jump, 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 jump. I've mentioned before that I'm not really a nostalgic person when it comes to video games, but there are some exceptions to this rule, and a big exception is Bully. I played the shit out of this game when I was a kid, and I basically know it like the back of my hand, but it occurred to me recently that whenever I do play through the game, I always look at it through my nostalgia glasses, and I enjoy it mainly because of the memories I have with it. I didn't even really know if the game held up, so I decided to play it again, this time looking at it as critically as I could, and now I'm gonna try and give a non-biased review. Emphasis on try. So in Bully, you play as troubled teenager Jimmy Hopkins, whose mother and new stepfather send him to a boarding school called
Bullworth Academy.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I could have said that. And so Jimmy is thrown into a school filled with bullies, psychopaths, drunks, angry hobos, and Pete. Pete is also here. The story is still one of the best parts about the game, more specifically the writing and the characters. I would almost consider Bully to be a comedy game. Like most Rockstar games, it has a comedic tone, but I really think this game tries harder to be funny than, say, Grand Theft Auto. Part of that is due to the more silly tone of the game, and the fact that a lot of the characters you meet are stereotypes of some kind. The whole game has this feeling of parody, but like the good kind of parody, the kind where you don't even really need to know what's being parodied to get the joke. And maybe it's because I'm childish, or maybe it's the nostalgia glasses again, but I still find this game funny. But even in the non-funny bits, this game is still really well written, not to mention the voice acting is good too, and the music... Oh, Jiminy Cricket, the music's fucking tight! There are so many different catchy tracks that play throughout the game that change up depending on where you are, what you're doing, who you're fighting. I'm not even joking when I say that this game has one of the best video game soundtracks I've ever heard. But enough of all that, I think it's about time we talk about the gameplay, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? For some reason, before I replayed this game recently, I had it in my mind that the gameplay was only about fighting, and whilst fighting is a pretty big part of the game, there's actually a lot more mission variety than I remember. There are a fair amount of fighting missions, but there are also racing missions, and stealth missions, and minigame based missions, and missions where you help the cooking lady, drug, and then implied rape the chemistry teacher. I'm serious? Yeah, I didn't get that when I was little. I'd forgotten how much variety there is in this game, and whilst the fighting system is pretty simple, the combat does get more interesting as you progress and unlock new fighting moves and weapons. I'd also forgot how many minigames there are. Naturally, in a high school game, there are classes to go to, and most of them are represented as quick minigames that are actually pretty fun. There are also arcade cabinets you can play, a carnival filled with minigames, there's quite a lot of optional stuff you can do, and that's... good. Jesus, I suck at this. Even though this game takes place in a school, the school isn't the only place you can go. After the first chapter, the world opens up to you. Well, I say world, it's really more like a small town, but still better than nothing. And the town may not be very big, but it is pretty detailed and fun to explore. Now, with all that being said, in the name of a totally non-biased review, I feel like I should mention some of Bully's faults, even though it goes against every instinct I have. I could be predictable and say, "Bah, bah, the graphics are so bad, bah, 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 Jimmy looks like he got hit in the face with a frying pan," but no. In fact, let's be real, for PlayStation 2, these graphics are alright. The thing I want to mention is the fighting system, and I know I said it gets better as you progress, and it definitely does, but it's still pretty simple. It's not necessarily boring, but the combat can feel pretty easy at times. In fact, this whole game is quite easy now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, maybe I just think that because I've beat this game so many times, but I don't think so. Plus, the enemy AI isn't great, so, you know, that's not helping. Okay, I can't say any more bad stuff about this game. It hurts me too much. physically. Yeah, I guess I kind of failed at the whole non-bias review thing, but I can't help it, man. I fucking love this game. For what it's worth, though, I do still think this game holds up today, and if you've never played it, I would seriously recommend it, either the original version or the Scholarship Edition. It's available on PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PC, Xbox 360, probably Xbox One, but I can't be asked to check. I see this game as a classic, and whilst there are some aspects of the game that don't hold up too well today, it is still a really fun and charming game. And I know my opinion on this doesn't mean too much because of how connected I am to the game, but hey, fuck you. Bully gets a kick in the balls. You can act as high and mighty as you like, but you know it's funny.